Welcome to the Collective Genius Podcast, the show for real estate investors who are looking to scale.
Welcome into the Collective Genius Podcast, the podcast for real estate investors looking to grow and scale their business, but not only grow and scale their business, grow and scale into great human beings and potentially new asset classes as well. And super excited today to have our guest in that has done just that. Longtime Collective Genius member, has moved from single family into commercial, although I know him really well. I know he's still doing some single family flips every once in a while. Please welcome in from Chicago, Mr. Saul Z. How are you, my friend?
Good. Thanks for having me here. I'm really excited to be on the spot and share whatever I can with you guys.
Yeah, super excited to have you. As we were talking pre-show, Saul, there are so many single-family investors that I talk to, now over 500 members within the Collective Genius, a little bit bigger than from when you first joined.
It was like 40 people, I think, went back in the day.
Yes. So it's grown just a little bit. So over that time, the last 7 years, you can imagine we've had a lot of people that have come in and said, hey, I'm sick of single family and I want to move into that another asset class. So I wanted to have you on the show to talk about your journey, which is a unique one for sure. But you have made that. I know we talked about this a couple of years ago. You were like, hey, I'm going all in on industrial commercial, which is not common. Most of the single family assets or single family investors, their asset class is single family, and then they jump into self-storage or apartments. So I'm excited for you to be able to tell that story. So let's give a proper introduction here, Saul. Why don't you tell everyone where you're from and what it is that you specifically focus on now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so my name is Saul Zenkevicius. I live in Chicago, happily married, 3 kids. I'm originally from Lithuania. I came to this amazing country called America in 2001, and I transferred my credits to UIC, and I wanted to be a trader, but eventually, very quickly, I ended up in real estate. And fast forward right now, I am focusing on a small bay industrial. We'll buy some retail properties as well. For the next 3 years, I'm seeing myself, being in a small bay industrial predominantly and some retail. That's my focus right now.
Okay. So you just compacted, 15 plus years, I'm sure, of your time.
Yes.
Into like 15 seconds.
And
so
we can definitely unpack it more and more if you I'm just going to follow you.
You're one of the smartest guys I know. You went to UIC. For those that don't know, that's University of Illinois at Chicago.
Correct.
And you went there to study economics, correct?
Exactly. My major was economics, yes.
So obviously, if you're in economics, you're typically a pretty smart individual. So how did you get from Lithuania? Because again, we're talking a long history here. How'd you get from Lithuania to UIC?
Yeah, so that was it's pretty much I would call it by luck. I was in Vilnius University. I was studying economics over there. I always had aspiration, of course, and admiration about America, right? I grew up in Soviet Union up until 1990. And when I was 10 years old, actually, I saw through my windows what's happening in Ukraine, but it was only for 2 weeks. That's when Soviet Union collapsed. So you always had an admiration, be living over there for America. And most fascinating was to see those live trading floors when people trading commodities and stocks. And I had in my mind, I didn't verbalize, but no, at some point, somehow I'm going to do this, right? So I was able to go on the floor in 2004 or 5. My friend Kirby Pearson, he used to have a brokerage over there back in the day, but when I stepped there, it wasn't anything like that what I saw in late 90s, right? Everything online. So I'm skipping that. But how I ended up there, it was a program. It's called Work and Travel, a program for students. And you just apply and you getting granted a visa to come in America and work and travel. And then eventually, when I came here, I found university and I transferred my credits from Vilnius University to UIC. And I started studying that. And I was an international student. I had to work and make money because I didn't have anyone. I luckily got introduced to one friend here in Chicago who had a mortgage company, happened to be Lithuanian, and I started doing appraisals for them. I think I had a knack right away, very quickly, for sales. My first job actually in Lithuania was selling websites. I was, just the first year in college. And I literally was selling websites from Yellow Book, and it was like late 90s. And I would just, had a Yellow Book, and I would call doctors, attorneys, and CPAs through Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, and just selling the website. Website at the time was just like a business card, and I had two developers who would do that. So I think I had a knack, for sales from very, very early age. And so fast forward, I started doing appraisals, and then
well, stop there. Stop there for real quick, because I know where you're about to go with this story.
Yeah.
But stop there. I'm fascinated when we've had other Collective Genius members that have come to this country from other countries, of how they lucked into a specific area, what have you, or they chose. Why Chicago?
Oh, Chicago. Chicago was it was just UIC, and I had a first job right here in Chicago, which was I was kind of assigned pretty much to come here, and UIC was right away on the radar that I may transfer my credits, and that's how it was. Yeah.
Okay. So you start doing appraisals. You meet another Lithuanian in Chicago.
Yes.
Start doing appraisals for this mortgage company. And you're still in college. What year are you in college at this point, Saul?
So I was first year in UIC, but collectively I was the third year overall, because I transferred my credit from Vilnius University
at this point.
Yeah.
Start the appraisals, and you start realizing that, man, I like real estate. So appraisals lead to what next? It leads to a flip.
So appraisal leads to realization that wow, there is arbitrage in values. I very quickly understanding the comps and I see the arbitrage, and I see people how increasing the value, how flipping the houses, and eventually I started looking into the sheriff auction. Just kind of I remember understanding how the title falls, and people buying for how much and selling it. And I stumble, I think, at like PDF course, or I buy it, I think, on eBay, just understanding how to buy in sheriff auctions. And probably within 3 or 4 months, I end up buying my first condo for $86,000. I had to borrow most of the money from my first private lender, who happened to be in mortgages. That was at the time it was mortgage craze. Who helped me to fund. I think I put on maybe $10,000 out of the whole amount, and I repaired most of it by myself. And I sold that condo for $10,000 profit. Once I've done it, it was a lot of money at that time for me. And
Sure.
I'm making probably at the time like $10,000 from appraisal. So I'm like living the dream, man. It cannot get better than that. And I decided to skip one semester take off and do more of this. And I ended up buying more and made even more money. And I just never came back to school, which is I still have a chip on the shoulder because I'm like, especially when I talk to my dad. I am, from old school country, and it just I still don't have a diploma.
Yeah, I think you're okay, my friend.
Yeah.
You'll obviously continue on this journey to where you've landed at this point. But I think your parents, I'm sure, are very proud of the man that you've become. I know that just from the beginning of meeting you, that you were always someone seeking knowledge through relationships and seeking knowledge in anything that you were doing, not just new things, but the things that you were currently doing. So as you are starting to do some of these projects, still doing the appraisal business, when did you start making this? Because I know you went in the brokerage business first, correct?
Yeah, so I started flipping, so appraisals, a little bit of flipping, and then market started softening up. I would say like 2007. And I started selling. How I went to Century 21. I had really good broker, Dan Gudmundsson, and I remember to this day. He told me one lesson: "Hey, this business is easy." And he picked up the phone and he said, "The person who makes the phone calls wins," and it's still stuck to to this day. And I started selling homes, mostly on the buyer side. And I was flipping also a little bit, buying that at a time from sheriff auction, and the market tanked. I ended up with a couple of rentals, and one I was not able to get rid of it. And it was 2008 or 9. And I had to actually move in with my family into that rental and move out from our nice townhome to our rental so we can carry that. And luckily, I have this home on the contract right now, on contract for D to sell for 360 this year. And I was in a hole for many years. So that's 15 years later. Finally we get out. But the lesson is that I have to write in my newsletter that I chose not to give away this home. I have to, somehow it was not right. It was not right to go to the short sale. It was not right to go to the mini bankruptcy. So I just grinded through. Literally with my 1-year-old son and my wife moving in there and renting our townhome so I can make a spread and cover this mortgage. So anyways, so I went in, then I stopped flipping. That was my last flip in 2009-ish till about like 2014. And I went strictly to REOs. And within a couple of years, we were selling 500 REOs a year. I was selling with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, all 5 big banks, and I had a big team. And then I went back when that's over. I started buying for institutionals. When Invitation Homes came in, I started brokering those deals. And I started buying for them, and then I ramped up back in flipping, and I then joined CG, which tremendously helped me to systemize everything and learn direct to seller marketing. I did not do direct to seller marketing. Prior, my flips was buying from sheriff auctions or REOs, but when REOs dried up, we went back to direct to seller. So then I rode a wave of direct-to-seller marketing that was really great as well. At that time, I started buying rentals and keeping, not only fixing and flipping, but keeping also some smaller apartments. I learned to do some small ground ups. I still do, as you say, I'm kind of undercover housing guy. I still have, some land bought up on infill lots in Chicago. We just broke ground right now in Brownsville on 4 unit. We're going to sell it, I would say about $2 million, all those 4 units, and now all in the cost will be maybe 1.2 with land 1.4, but I know the market really well. It's going to work. So anyways, I'm jumping here.
Let's pause there real quick because I've got some follow-ups there, but I do want to take this moment to really speak to, I know you're an undercover house guy, but I think you're just an undercover deal person. It's just one of those things where why do you have to pigeonhole yourself into I am this? If you enjoy doing deals, and I've heard you say that word many and many a times, whether it's
Yes.
podcasts I listen to or talk to you, if it's a deal, it's a deal. It doesn't matter if it's single family, multifamily, industrial. If you have a deal, it's fun to do transactions. It's fun to make money, but to find the deal is I think that's you're a deal junkie, like a lot of us.
100%, 100%, and it just really light it. I mean, if anyone wants to pick up my mood, they just have to call me. Hey, I think we have a deal here. Okay, tell me about it. It doesn't matter. It could be we're talking about. I just got off the phone. We're talking about 260,000 square feet deal, or someone is gonna send me a piece of land in land, for 75 grand. I think amount of dopamine I'm getting the same, but it's always a spike.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So when did you hear, what year did you join? Because I don't think I was back on this side yet when you first joined.
Yeah, you were. I think you joined a little later.
Hear about it.
How did I hear about it? Okay, how did I hear about it? I really think I saw Jason on somewhere on social media. I don't know. I don't think it was a referral at that time. Yeah, somehow I emailed. I just emailed him, and we got on a call, and I think the threshold at that time was 50 units per year. I was right there, but I wasn't like 200 or anything like that. Yeah, and I joined it. I think it was probably 2014, 15, in somewhere that time.
Yeah, and 15 sounds right. And it was back then because there weren't a lot of people doing hundreds and hundreds of flips.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're doing 50 a year, it was a lot. It was considered a lot. And there were no people who were doing, a couple hundred, until CG developed the systems.
Yeah. So you were the avatar. When this group really started taking off, it was with the real estate investors that had been buying at the courthouse steps, and it started to dry up right when this group started in 2010. And they needed to get direct to seller. So that was the big challenge for you. You wanted to figure out how to get direct to seller when you came into this group, but you knew no one coming into this group. You took this leap of faith to come in here. What did you learn right out of the gates?
Okay, so right out of the gates, I remember I went in, and it was just like drinking out of a fire hose, right? I understood values. I understood I understood construction, stuff like that. But even though I was a sales guy, I wouldn't say I was a direct to seller marketing guy. So I had to learn very quickly marketing. Just going back, I was always fascinated about marketing. I'm those OGs who attended Dan Kennedy conferences, and I understood that. But I wasn't using that actively. So what really happened, actually, I remember the first meeting I sat down with Jason, and we talked what we need to do. And he's like, dude, no, you need to pick one funnel once a quarter, just do it for 1 quarter, and then dial that in, do another funnel, dial it in, and just keep going. So I think I picked direct mail. And within 4 months, we dialed it in. Then we ramped up PPC, and then we also added text messages. And within second year, I think we're doing 100 plus houses from those three funnels. We eventually went actually in a couple other markets, Indianapolis and Minneapolis, in Miami. And we added a little bit there, but mainly we stayed in Chicago market. And it was always say between 100 and 200 homes before I started transitioning in industrial. And we can talk about that. Our first building I bought in 2017.
What was the best, if there's one that you can remember? I know I'm putting you on the spot here. Is there one relationship that you're like, or two that really you built within the community that helped you get over that hump of any type of self-limiting belief, or just really helped you with a system or a process?
I mean, to this day, I still have my dear to heart relationships from the group. At least 5 guys who I talk consistently. But it was mainly just being able to jump on the call from someone from different market and let's talk about how direct mail works now, because we have to commit. Let's say I had to commit, I think, 10 grand a month, and it was, look, you have to commit, let's say, 6 months before you figure it out what message works in the market, your KPIs and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say it was 60 grand huge amount of money, but at the time it wasn't little money, so to speak. But getting someone on a call and just kind of seeing it works and how they dial in, it was really worth it. So I still have at least 5 relationships to this day. The group was very, very open, and I really attribute Collective Genius success in housing for sure. 100%. That was at least 80% of my success. Just being able to meet those operators who are doing the same business like I do, and they just were 5,000 hours into it already before me.
Yeah. I sometimes forget, Saul, the impact a phone call can make. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was a member, and I remember we were starting to build our first fund, or at least going down that road. And I remember talking to 2 different members on a phone call way before Zoom was a thing, mm-hmm. right? Got on a phone call, and they just both said, look, if you want to do this, we'll help walk you through it. But you need to know this is a full-time business. This is its own business. This monster needs to be fed all the time. And immediately my mind frame, it didn't say I'm not going to do this. It just set the tone of the type of work that this was going to take. And those calls were invaluable. Like they spent 30 minutes with me, gave me so much insight to what I had no clue I was getting myself in for at that particular time. And sometimes I just totally forget the impact of just having the ability to make one quick phone call, because it can either set the tone and give you a blueprint to have success with it, or it can tell you, you know what, this is probably not right for me right now. This is something that I need to put down the line as something I want to do in the future. And the impact of having those relationships with people that have been down those roads, it's invaluable. Priceless.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Sure.
You made this decision to go from single family, not that you ever are out of single family. You're always a deal person. 2017, you buy your first industrial. Now, this isn't common. This is not common, at least from, the investors that I know. You were probably one of the first that I knew that wanted to use the industrial commercial angle as a strategy. Mm-hmm. Where people own industrial, but no one said, this is the strategy I want to move forward with. And a lot of times when people are split, especially our members, and they say, hey, I'm going to do single family, and I'm going to do this, mm-hmm. It can be a distraction. But obviously it wasn't for you. Where did this start? 2017, you buy your first industrial. Where did that idea come from?
I think it was amalgamation of many signals that's coming into my life. So the first signal was, I have a friend and my mentor as well. His name is Arnold, and we got in real estate probably at a very similar time, but he got in right away in industrial. And 10 years forward, we met and we kind of compared call it numbers, sizes, just from a mathematical perspective, cash flow, asset, equity, build up and stuff like that, and how much time it takes him to do that volume. It was just not comparable. It was not, I'm like, it's like, doesn't make any sense. And then, I started understanding the risk levels, and risk levels we think is risky just because we look, 30 days or 90 days cycles. Yeah, the housing is way more risky. But if you look at 5-year cycle, 3-year cycle, the commercial real estate is definitely not more risky. So that was the first one. And then we kind of committed that, okay, I'm gonna, I know how to find deals, and I'll just start sending them. And I found the first deal. I bought that first deal at $9 a foot. Right now, we're leasing at $9 a foot. And numbers wise, we bought it for $900, put $250, refinanced the first year, and right now it's over $5 million. We still have it. Right now, it's over $5 million in value, and it cash flows $250 a year after debt. It's paid off, right? After equity is paid off. So when I did the first cycle, meaning we bought it, stabilized it, and refinanced it. Of course, luckily the rates were low over there. At that time, I even presented a collective genius, like, let's look at perspective, just from cash flow perspective and time perspective. It took me approximately about a year to do this deal. In terms of tenants, I have 4 tenants over there. And I think it was over $200,000 in cash flow. And we took all the chips off the table. I mean, and if I'm not mistaken, it was the same amount of impact in value add cash flow. I would need to do 86 homes. At 86 homes, it's definitely doable. But at that time, to do 86 homes, it definitely would take me way longer than a year. In terms of hours, I think I calculated it would take me, I think, more than 15 or 20 times in terms of hourly expense. In terms of property manager, probably have 2 at least, where I have only 1.5, and it's just like, and if the risk, it seems like I can compartmentalize the risk. It kind of makes sense, to go that route. So that was pretty much almost like, eye-opening. That's number one. Number two, also I was a part of a group called Strategic Coach with Dan Sullivan. And one interesting conversation we had with him is that the way you grow, you can grow, what term he used? I think you can grow horizontally when you can add more and more and more transactions, like Amazon model, like you just go like as wide as possible. Or you can go, by increasing the transaction, less like McKinsey model, right? Let's say if Elon Musk or someone, Bezos or someone has a problem, the only way he can go and get consulting is probably at very, very high level consulting. What do you mean? Charge you $5 million an hour for the solution, right? So instead of going after wide, many transactions, actually can go after the size of the transaction, of size of the decision, and the quality of decision, right? So, and it's like, well, it kind of makes sense. Same thing, it's almost the same thing. You can have a very big impact, which is bigger asset instead of going with a lot of them. And it felt to me right. And another thing is, I was at the point where, and you may challenge because I'm getting a lot of challenging from real estate community. I really think passive income is a lie. It just is if it's said this way, because it is evolution, right? People want 100 houses until they have 100 houses, and when they have 100 houses, many of them have doubts. People want to have 1 million square feet in commercial real estate until they don't have 1 million square feet in commercial real estate, and they have doubts because it comes with big expense on your freedom, and a freedom or happiness. So at this point, like, there should be a better way, because it doesn't seem like what I imagined 5 years ago when you get to that cash flow, so to speak, and you're free and stuff like that. And it's not, there's more nuances to it right now. So that was kind of an evolution. Right now, I just understand it's always an evolution. And I just, the way I think right now it might change. If I see right now 50-year evolution or a 70-year evolution, many guys or gals are starting from, maybe selling and then flipping houses, then apartments, then probably commercial real estate, maybe then development. And then most of them end up as the financiers. That's the evolution, of the commercial real estate evolution. That's mostly what I see if you look at 50-year cycle.
This is why I wanted to have you on. As you know, most of the people that are real estate investors, specifically on the single family side, they struggle when they make this transition for many reasons. What was your biggest struggle? Like, they're in this transition. I mean, you were a single family person that makes this transition. I know it sounded like you had a mentor there. somebody that may have had experience. But in this transition, as you're buying this first one, I mean, construction on, putting that $250,000 into this industrial property, that's not normal. That's not like a normal flip of a single family residence. So what were the biggest struggles as you're making it? Because people are listening to this going, man, this sounded easy for Saul, but I'm sure it wasn't easy at the time.
No, well, maybe I sound easy. I think I still want to emphasize that it was fairly easy when decision was made. When you have a belief and understanding, I think I had a clarity before. So I was lucky I had someone to model and see, okay, this is actual reality. This is not focus at YouTube. This is the reality, what's happening. It just maybe takes longer. So I was very lucky. We did the first building. I was only 20% owner in that deal, and there's two other guys, who had experience, and so it was hand-holded. I did only acquisitions and leasing. So I had this experience that it went through. Then for 3 years was in that twilight zone. I was still doing housing and call it 100%, but I was still chasing commercial deals. And it was after my New Zealand Ironman, I remember we closed on 2 school bus terminals on March the 6th, and March the 10th, school shut down in Illinois. And it was the most expensive deal I've ever bought. Me and my partner were $6 million. And I was like, oh man, this is going to be interesting part of my life. This is going to be an interesting part of my life. Luckily, by luck, COVID started, but actually they never stopped paying. They never stopped paying. It was essential business. They were funded by the school. I just realized actually, it works. I think it was a notion that I have to go in cash because I just bought that deal. All my cash was trapped in housing. I was still flipping, and I decided in June I'm gonna put everything on the market. And I put everything on the market. I don't know if you remember the time, but actually 2020, beginning of the COVID, everything was like skyrocketing. Even though it was locked up, there was no inventory, and I sold within August. I pretty much cleaned up everything, and I ended up with cash from first time in my life, from spreadsheets and equity into the cash. And it's probably was a little bit also the luck, maybe. I just had the confidence that actually world is not falling apart. There was a lot of doom and gloom, but you could see that there's so much money coming in, and I had this first time, so to speak, exit. I started buying industrial properties, and I exited pretty much in 2020 almost with everything, and I started buying commercial real estate. And that was the beginning. But 3 years was in a twilight. 2017, 2020 was a twilight. I kind of knew that I want to go there, but it was very hard to give up what you can make in housing quickly. So it wasn't like that. But when decision was made, within 2 months I was out. Or 2-3 months I was out, and I went in buying warehouses and self-storages. Actually, yeah, we mentioned self-storages. So we went 2020, 2021, 2022 heavy on warehousing and self-storages.
Okay, so the takeaway real quick, and I do want to get to that because obviously that's a different asset class. The takeaways are, number one, you were a minority partner in that first deal with people that had experience in leasing and construction of these type of assets. So first and foremost, you were a minority partner and allowed you the opportunity to learn. In addition to that, there was a transition. Like this didn't happen overnight. This was something that it took you 3 whole years, and obviously what was potentially a black swan event turned into pretty good for those that were holding and wanted to sell. It was the perfect time to sell. So there's some timing there. See, luck favors the prepared.
Yeah.
You were in that particular case. You were able to sell that and then completely make this transition. I'm glad that I asked that follow-up because I wanted people to see if you're making this transition, obviously do what you feel like, brings you the most happiness, and obviously as a business model. But I wanted to see that this isn't something that you just go, because here's what I had in 2020, 2021. So I had a bunch of 20-somethings that had sold a bunch of properties to institutions and made millions. And they were like, you know what? I'm tired of making millions. I'm going to go into multifamily. Now, they didn't say that, but that's what their body language was. Single family is boring. I'm no longer going to do that. I'm going right into multifamily. So all the cash, which you had cash because you exited, right? All their cash had stopped because around 22, first quarter of 22, those institutions stopped buying as rates went up. All of a sudden, they don't have any oxygen for that fire to fuel the apartments that they have now completely made that transition. And if I see people fail in this transition and the evolution that you spoke of earlier, it's that they just give up on something that is their cash cow to create long-term wealth. So I'm glad I asked that follow-up, and I appreciate you giving that full journey there, because that's not something, it's not easy. And you were in an evolution time frame yourself where you had to make that transition and have enough cash to fuel the next phase of your evolution as an investor. So you started with industrial. When did you said self-storage came into play? 21?
Yeah, so 2021, Shay and I partnered and we opened up called another asset class because self-storage was really hot. I was using to buy self-storage what I learned in CG. It was cold calling and direct mail. We bought 8 facilities and we exited already all of them except one in Lehigh Acres. Timing was 80% right. I think we hold it 3 a little too long, which was mostly in Florida. And we'll say have the last one in Florida. But yeah, so we, besides the industrial, we bought self-storages. Yeah, definitely use direct to seller marketing strategies, cold calling and direct mail. That's what I'll learn in CG. But at the same time, yeah, it's a great point because when I bought everything in most investors, right? You have cash for 2 months and you just plow all of it in. And yeah, I did not have anymore my flipping business or, cash flowing housing business. So what I did for the last, call it 5 years, I would sell 1 or 2 assets a year because most of our assets are value add. So I use for other down payments or even living expenses to sell 1 or 2 assets so that you from some from cash flow, but there is also a portion of my living expenses and other down payments. I used to sell the assets. So meaning, what I transition is that I was of the type of guy never sell anything, no way. And I'm totally cool to sell some of it, and that's kind of, I'm getting a lot of heat from the real estate community because I don't believe that model anymore, living from passive cash flow. It doesn't, it's just too difficult for me to achieve, Too difficult unless you want to be so frugal and grind it through your 70s till your debt is paid off, but life is too short for that, in my opinion. Just pay the tax. And there's deals like galore, There's so many deals, No, but no.
You won't hear any arguments or get any heat from me, my friend. The word passive is an overused buzzword that doesn't exist for many. There's always outliers. I'm sure someone that is listening to this right now going, well, I've got this buddy. Yeah, okay, that's one. Yeah, there's outliers to everything. And there's some people that do live a very passive lifestyle. But even that passive, I would argue it's probably not as passive as the definition of that word. You mentioned that you sold all your self-storage. Was that just because of the opportunity and you're no longer going to invest in self-storage?
Well, clearly numbers are not so sexy like it used to be before. Where we're buying them, we could exit them in good markets, in sub 7 caps. And right now, even it's everything decompressed at least 100 or 200 basis points. That's number one. Because institutionals kind of, there's still some of them there, but not as aggressive, so your buyer pool it reduced. At the same time, market got saturated. It's and I've been always like that, meaning that I kind of get in before everything gets too hot, and when it is just too hot, it's hard. It's time to move on. Simply, let's say we build our own list, and when we started buying, we would call them, and it would be probably one person who called that owner in Wisconsin, or Illinois, or whatever, in the last month. And right now, if you're going to try to call self-storage owner, I'm getting calls every single day. No, I'm overstating, not anymore because of only one property, but I'm getting consistently calls on those self-storages, what did not happen before. So it just market got oversaturated, and it just time to move on.
Like I said, all of those people that made all that money in 2020 and 21 from institutions, they all were looking at the mom and pop seller of those self-storage that maybe that family had owned it for 40, 50 years, yes, still ran as a mom and pop organization with a ton of land with opportunity to grow it behind it. Those opportunities are still out there, but there's many more people researching for it. I always tell people all the time, like, this is why we have commercial people in Collective Genius. They were like, why would a self-storage person be in Collective Genius? Because they want to understand how to get to their avatar. The people that understand how to get direct to seller, the best in the world, in my opinion, are the people that are in the Collective Genius that are getting single family assets from mom and pops every single day, getting direct. The same thing applies for most, unless you're a big institution that's buying these massive apartments and commercial assets. It's still a mom and pop seller. You have obviously used those things that you've learned to get direct to seller from a single family asset. You've obviously used that and will continue to use it, I'm sure, in any asset class that you buy in the future.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, self-storage is definitely, I would say, I cannot think of self-storage we bought from the broker. Can't think of, everything was direct to seller. Everything was direct to seller. It was 3 channels: direct mail, text messages, and cold call. We had two interns calling. It's changing definitely on a small bay industrial, on the bigger boxes, because I think that's kind of a threshold. If $5 million or maybe even less, you would have already a little bit more institutional flavor. I'm not talking Blackstone, but maybe even already the owner has multiple assets and he understands commercial real estate game and pricing. So you don't get that arbitrage of improving the facility so quickly. I mean, arbitrage in self-storage was you're just slapping marketing, paid ads, Google, and you just getting the rents to the market instead of leasing those to the friends and family, right? And that was the arbitrage, just getting the rents up with your marketing capability and then dressing up the facility. So it was easy, but it's time. Yeah, we're doing right now this on a small bay industrial. We're doing also reconversions of offices to small bay industrial. We had just recently really successful project in Beaver Creek, Ohio.
Your favorite, now 8 years in, obviously you had a transition time there at 2020, but let's say 8 years in since you bought your first industrial, is there a favorite project that you have and why?
Mm-hmm. My favorite project and why? Well, many of them, but what first comes to mind was one project we did in Milwaukee. It's myself and my partner Rafiq. And it was 2021 or 2 that we bought it. It was first massive redevelopment for me, which was about $3 million in capex, and we bought 2 big boxes. One was 90,000 square feet, another one 70,000 square feet, and it was 2 purchases, but they were sold separately, and we combined it together. It was an entire Milwaukee block. And why it was so memorable, just because I never done anything at that scale where I really had to rehab it, right? I remember I was with a pickup truck, and we closed on it, and we drove in the building, and we opened this 14-foot door, and we're driving in the building like he can drive in the building, and right, we're driving around, and it was like entire block. I'm like, Rafik, how are we gonna pull this off, right? So it was completely different scale of the biggest project I've done in the past was building a 4-flat in Bronzeville, for $1 million, but so that was so awesome to see when we mobilized everything, and I went there every single week from Chicago, and you come in, there is like 30 guys working there, 10 guys working there. It's like a big construction going on. It's like
Sure.
it's just so cool to see how it's transforming on your eyes. And so that's why I think build those homes in the city, just because it's so rewarding to see that you can. It's almost like an art, right? It's an art how you creating value and getting those businesses in, and yeah. So that's why.
What did that Milwaukee block end up becoming? Just industrial and a bunch of businesses in.
Yeah. So we cut it up in a small bay, between 3,000 and 5,000 square feet, and we asphalted the rest, about 10 acres. And we put a semi-truck parking lot. So it became what we called Milwaukee Tech Center. And I think right now we have, we bought it half vacant, dilapidated. We had to count most of the tenants. It's a really nice facility right now. It's gated to access points. It became almost like a mini neighborhood in a neighborhood. It's a block size. So right now we call it Milwaukee Tech Center. There is over 20 businesses. 100% occupied. One tenant move out right now, but we have another one called, for the most part, it stays right now 100% occupied for the last 2 years.
Very cool. Congrats on that. It's a
Yeah.
bigger scale, big project that I'm sure you went into a little bit nervous, but I'm sure you learned a lot of lessons along the way. Is there something that you're most excited about right now that's working for you at high level that you'd love to share?
What I'm most excited about on the high level? Yes, I'm very excited that we are launching, my partner Shay and I, and development team. We launching a product called Industrial IQ. To simplify, this is a list with AI capability for small bay industrial. We're launching that official on October 16th in Small Bay Summit. That's a conference in New York. And we're using that for ourselves. And, being a marketing guy and direct to seller guy, the first and most important critical piece in buying deals direct to seller is a list. Curated list that is accurate list and most clean list, and we're creating that list for small bay industrial for entire country. It's about probably 250,000 properties nationwide, and this is going to be all one only that will definitely enhance significantly our acquisitions, and I'm going to share with the world. So people who want to do it, check it out. IndustrialIQ.ai.
Yes. Give that one more time.
IndustrialIQ.ai. You can get on a waiting list, and right now we have, I think, 20 people in the beta, but we're officially launching in October 16th.
Awesome. We'll make sure that gets in the show notes. And if people want to follow, I know you have Twitter as one of your main ways that people follow you. Is that the best way if people want to learn more about this industrial movement that you've had?
Yeah, I think we either LinkedIn, but I think if they want to get more of my thoughts, I write newsletter weekly. It's joinvaluebuilder.com. Joinvaluebuilder.com. You can sign up, and you'll get weekly thoughts, news and moves. I follow Fed, and I write case studies every single week.
Love it. I appreciate you sharing your story, Saul. I'm so happy and proud of what this evolution of you. I know you've got a lot of great things in the future as well. Love always catching up with you. It's been a while, so thank you. I appreciate you coming on to the podcast and sharing your story here.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for inviting me. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So if you'd love to be in a room with investors like Saul, guys that have started out in single family and made their move into other asset classes while still doing single family moves
Yes.
too. If you would like to be in the room, the easiest way to check us out is explorecg.com. There you'll find all the information that you need to make a decision if you want to apply for this great community. Almost 15 years strong. Believe that's 15 years strong for the Collective Genius. 4 different tiers, and our newest, our CEO level group, which is more people like Saul in those rooms of commercial investors, as well as developers, what have you. So explorecg.com. Love to talk to you on the other side to see if it makes sense for you. And also, if you'd like to go back and listen to any of these pods, the easiest way to do that is thecgpodcast.com. Another great episode in the books. Thanks again to my guest, Saul Z. We will see you next week on CG, the podcast.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Saul.
All right, man.
Are you ready to scale your real estate business? Visit thecollectivegenius.com, where real estate investors come to scale. Subscribe to the Collective Genius podcast and hit the bell icon to be notified when our next episode releases. And thanks for listening.